Hi, thank you for tuning in. As promised, I always keep up to date on my videos. This is Dexter's Amplifier Repair, and what we have here today is one of the projects that I'm working on. A customer brought me this amp, and I was told that this thing keeps blowing fuses, and I want to make this video. So I want to tell the importance of having your amp maintained, especially if you are one who plays a lot, does a lot of shows, practices a lot, how important it is to keep up to date with what's going on here. A customer brought me this and said that this amp was continually blowing fuses, and I did some investigating on this and found out that these tubes are the original tubes that were installed in the amp. As you all know, that Fender doesn't make their own tubes anymore. This is all exclusive to Groove Tube. These tubes have been sitting in this amp. These are the original tubes in there. I went through this amp. I've cleaned, tensioned the tube sockets. I've changed out all the preamps too, and cleaned all the potentiometers on there. What I would do is a normal service on here. And plug it in, put a new fuse in there, turn it on, it blows right away. And I was like, okay, there's got to be some kind of short in here that would make it blow in here. So I did some underneath, did some investigation, checked out the caps underneath there. They look fine. Didn't see any problems in that area. Did some looking on the board to see if it was shorted. Didn't see anything off the bat that would indicate that there was a short in there, something that I could visibly see. And there's something that's blown in there. I was looking, I couldn't find anything. So what I done next was I started isolating the problem to make sure that where the short was at, and I went underneath the chassis and I unplugged I started thinking, okay, well, no, I couldn't find it right away, and I think, where is this short at in here, because I went through about 3 or 4 different fuses in here and I still can't find it. So I said, okay, I want to isolate this problem right now in here. So I did underneath here. I went underneath the chassis and started unplugging things on there. I wanted to see where this problem's at. Is it in a high voltage section? Is it the bias section? Is it the filament section on here? And I went and unplugged the high voltage side. I disconnected it from the board underneath, and it blew another fuse. So then I disconnected the bias itself in here and put another fuse in there, and it blew again. And I said, okay. Then I went for, okay, I want to take out the heater section in there and see if there's a problem in there. And I put another fuse in there, and it still blew. And I went there, and I didn't have any more fuses and at that point, and so this thing underneath here, and I found the short, is the transformer. This transformer, the power transformer, is shorted in here, and this is why it's important to keep up with your maintenance on your amplifiers. Now I think we're having these tubes in here, and I really believe, because I was measuring these on my Hitchcock, and I measured one at about 4,000 microohms. I believe that leaving these tubes in here for that long in this amplifier shorted out this transformer, because I talked to Antique Electronic Supplies and they don't have a replacement for it, and I called Hammond directly. I spoke to their tech, and he commented it sounds like the primary on this transformer is shorted on here, and unfortunately Hammond doesn't have a replacement for a Fender twin reverb reissue. They don't have a replacement for this. And there was another company I called. It was Triode Electronics, and they don't have one. And nobody has this transformer. And unfortunately, the only thing that can be done about this, and you're in a situation like this, I called up Mercury Magnetics, and they have a transformer right available. This is why you want to maintain, especially your power tubes, because maintaining your power tubes and your amplifier if you're constantly gigging with this amp and you're constantly practicing with your amp and you're constantly using this thing every day, I would recommend you should have your amp serviced at least once every 6 months. You should have it checked out by a professional tech. You can bring it to Dexter's Amplifier Repair. You can call me. If you're not in the Maryville, Indiana area, you might want to check out a local tech that is in the area that you can have your amp serviced. And I just wanted to make this video to show you the importance of maintaining your amp, because if your amp is not up to performance and you get it short in a tubes wear out, especially your power tubes. Your power tubes is the ones that do the most work in this amplifier. Customer spent some money replacing the tubes, and come to find out, okay, now it's the tubes shorted out this transformer in here. Now it's got to be replaced on here. To convert this over to Mercury Magnetic is not an easy task. There's probably going to be some custom work that's going to have to be done in here. My experience with Mercury Magnetics is I've done one on a Marshall JVM 410, and it wasn't the same footprint. So you have to cut into the chassis, and some of these things they're not easy to install. So you want to make sure that you get a nice good fit on the chassis when you replace one of these, and make sure that you check over your wiring when you do a transformer, especially a power transformer, because you are dealing with line current, and you want to make sure that all your solder joints are good, your wiring is neat, is clean, short as possible, and safe in here, because you can do some damage if not done correctly with these transformers. If you have any questions, you have any comments, you have an amplifier that needs to be serviced, you can contact me. I run an ad on Craigslist, Dexter's Amplifier Repair. And thank you for watching.